Loba is an amazing individual, and she's going to be talking to us about community, because at the end of the day, this is about a community of people and individuals, and we've been doing community for the entirety of human civilization. Is with this, I'm proud to introduce Loba.
Hi, cool. Should I? Perfect. Well, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
We know open source, this is my personal definition of open source. Open source is a real possibility of change the power access. However, and this is why I'm here today, open source also reflects the existing power dynamics. And it aims to change itself, including exclusive practice that silence the voices of marginalized bodies, those who are already have been marginalized in different societies. We need to keep asking ourselves, are we open to whom? This is why communities like PyLadies exist, and this is what we address. We create spaces where people feel welcome, where their voices and aspirations are heard, and where their expressions can gently and very powerfully enter these very intimidating spaces that open source and tech can be. We are volunteers and only volunteers, and we are now 75 autonomous local chapters around the globe, literally around the globe, addressing the gender gap in the tech industry and supporting women to become leaders in the open source and in tech societies. Because we care and we extend our hands, this is what we do, we just share. And make sure those voices occupy these spaces that rightfully belongs to. We organize a lot of things, so this is what practically you do. We organize all the events that we need to organize that our community needs, from workshops, from basic to very advanced data scientist stuff is a very burning thing. But we mostly cultivate the future maintainers of core open source projects of tomorrow. And we have, for example, we put 25 women in a room, and in 2 hours we become contributors, and most of them, more than 50%, is staying in the scene. We're also do some social things, like we literally just have cake days, because we're more interested in, like Dr. Fonseca reminded me the other days, we're more interested in the subject than the object, which most often in those general conferences we ended up addressing. In a recently panel in the Python PyData, we had to have the braveness to look into our failures, and we're failing a lot. We also have our systems inside of places we think are very diverse, and we look to ourselves and ask where are we addressing, and we know we have a big issue, we're mostly addressing white women, and we have to address that. We also are learning how to really dream big. For example, it's not just about helping them to start, but to become leaders. And why not having a retreat, like not just childcare, but actually having a finance support retreat for you to recover from burnout, or really come back from motherhood where you have to stay out for a few years. We have to learn how to really dream big. Is this code, you may ask? This is open source. Well, we do create a lot of code together, believe me. But mostly we allow those bodies to create this code, which most often we cannot. And why the heck do we do that? Because technology is literally driving our lives. It is navigating us, it is translating us, it is telling us how we have to do and feel. What it needs or wants us to see. Because technology is built under the very dangerous belief that it is neutral, and it is not. We need to start asking what those tools are creating and what are the implications of real lives. Books like Algorithms of Oppression and Invisible Woman, they give you concrete data about how this code can be very oppressive and make people invisible in the world. To understand what open source is, So we're here because we do believe that open source is this absolutely powerful force that is changing the way we do business, the way we create public policies. But the truth is that less than 5% are not male from the north. So if those bodies, 95% is an organic body that is affecting 100% of different lives, we need to start putting the finger and saying, okay, it's not just great. We need to keep asking the hard questions so we can improve and be this very powerful change of power axis it has the power to be. Does this seem right to you? And if not, please quack with me in 3 if you believe this is not correct. 3, 2, 1, quack! Well, again, just you believe me. So if you think this is not correct, please quack with me. 3, 2, 1, quack! But how do we do that? Don't be abstract. Give me how. Tell me how. First of things, never underestimate the power you have. And I'm talking from experience. I was before. It was because of PyLadies and me, a person that could not even say Guten Morgen in Germany. It's now in an event outside of the UN. I was saying, Mom, I was in UN yesterday. It is because of PyLadies. Do not underestimate the power you have. It was because Jessica was also a junior engineer and told me how should I follow up on my internship, which led me to create a fellowship program and hire 5 people for 6 months and really put them to understanding open source. You are more powerful than you think. And they're in these small actions. In places like Berlin, where 40% of us are foreigners like me, absolutely lost and not understanding the power you have, this can be even more powerful. And do not underestimate also communities like us thinking it's just about the beginning, it's just about you giving a tip. We're between us, we have brilliant doctors just afraid to enter this space. Really brilliant people. That's why you have to do workshops for beginners, but also for very advanced. That's mostly what we need. We need just someone to believe in us and say, no, code is not just for the person that look like a genius, it's for you as well. And it is powerful, as has been mentioned a lot of times in this conference. It can provide a financial benefits and economic stability for the most of us. It is very powerful. So today we are here at this event directly connected with the United Nations and what I want to remind, it has been reminded already, but again, what United Nations has that is very powerful, it's gathering nations to remind us that regardless of your culture and beliefs, we all have universal human rights. And this space allows us to consider how the open source projects we create impact those rights. The right to access and shape the present and the future, the right to choose and create our own, the freedom to control programs that affect directly our lives. And this is very ideological instance, but I believe I'm in the right place. And it is also the core principles of open source software and free software. This is why we, PyLadies, exist and why we cannot exist in isolation. This is why I stand here with all of you today to connect and create an equitable space where decisions are made from the perspective of all. So I quote, I really love to quote the disability rights movement, reminding that we also need to address more enable society to enable all the bodies to be in. We have to stop doing things without us, nothing about us, without us. Thank you.